32-year-old UFC star Israel Adesanya is a Nigerian-born New Zealand professional mixed martial artist, kickboxer, and former boxer with multiple championships in all three disciplines. And apparently, Adesanya thinks very highly of two-time world heavyweight boxing champion Tyson Fury. So stay tuned and don't go away, because we're revealing why UFC star Israel Adesanya calls boxing champion Tyson Fury a phenomenal human being, and that Gypsy King shows respect is mutual. First up, so what's with the bromance between the two fighters? You're about to find out. Before his middleweight title fight with Robert Whittaker at UFC 271, Israel Adesanya found time to praise Tyson Fury. The Last Stylebender beat Whittaker, and this time in the main event. Adesanya is fresh off signing his new and lucrative deal with the UFC, and readily admits he draws inspiration from Fury and the fact that he battled depression and weight issues to become boxing's heavyweight champion of the world. In a recent interview, Adesanya said, "I love his story. It's phenomenal. I can't wait for the biopic to come out. He's a phenomenal human being, not just a fighter. I really admire what he's done." Fury replied to Adesanya on Twitter and showed his appreciation for the fellow champion, tweeting, "Respect, Stylebender." Fury is set to fight Dillian Whyte on April 23rd at Principality Stadium in Cardiff, Wales, which will most likely be the venue. Fury confesses to battling depression and turning to drugs during his darkest times. In a recent interview, Fury said, "I had everything. Money, fame, glory, good looks. I had it all. Everything a man would ever want, but yet it didn't mean anything. I wanted to die on a daily basis. Material goods are only good for when things are going right in your life. You can have everything in the world and feel like crap on a daily basis because no one can see inside the mind. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Mental health has to be the biggest enemy I've ever fought with, more than any opponent." Next up, is Deontay Wilder relying on a psychedelic drink to determine his future in boxing? Let's take a look. Crazy rumors are swirling that Deontay Wilder claims he may consume a psychedelic drink that was once used by ancient Amazonian tribes to help him decide whether he should retire from boxing after being defeated by the Gypsy King Tyson Fury. Wilder hasn't fought since, and now the 36-year-old Wilder is set to try the mind-altering beverage known as ayahuasca to help him make up his mind. Wilder revealed that he may turn to ayahuasca in a bizarre approach to decide whether or not he'll retire. Wilder, aka the Bronze Bomber, has lost his last two fights, both against Tyson Fury in the trilogy bout, and the most recent loss came in October of 2021. Since then, the Bronze Bomber hasn't revealed his future in the sport, but now claims that ayahuasca will aid in his decision-making process. Well, I gotta say, I didn't see that coming. Wilder said, "I think I'm gonna take a trip that I have to take. I'm thinking about doing ayahuasca. That's gonna be my decision-making process. Ayahuasca is something you take to take a spiritual journey. You're using DMT and things like that." For those of you who may not know, DMT, or dimethyltryptamine, is a powerful mind-bending hallucinogenic drug. Talk about a strange turn of events for Wilder. It's absolutely bizarre that a pro boxer would make such comments. Up next, is Amir Khan ready for Kell Brook? Let's find out. Amir Khan has arrived in Manchester for Fight Week and boasted that Kell Brook's confidence is brittle. Khan said, "It's great to be in Manchester. It's great to be back home. I've just got to the hotel where I'm going to be staying. We normally use this hotel every time. My last couple of fights in Manchester, I stayed at this hotel. I've had some good fights at the Manchester Arena. The altitude in Omaha and Colorado Springs was very difficult. We've just got back, so still got the benefits of doing it. I've done a 12-round spar and an 8-round spar, finished off with the 8-round spar, and it felt so easy. The oxygen, it just felt like there was too much of it." Khan and Brook will be facing off on February 19th, 2022, and fans can't wait for this one. It's going to be a heck of a fight. In comments to reporters, Brook gave his thoughts on the upcoming bout and said, "It's definitely personal. There's no handshakes. I'm coming to do business. What we've been talking about for over a decade is 5 days away. I just can't wait now to show the fans what they've been missing out on. This is the show they've been waiting to see, and they're going to see one hell of a show on Saturday night." One thing we know for certain is that when these two step into the ring, it's going to be a war. Stay tuned and don't go away, because we're bringing you the latest news from the world of boxing. Next up, what other fights are on the Khan vs. Brook card are worth paying attention to? Let's have a look. Cruiserweight Vidal Riley wants to be respected as a boxer and not just some online personality. Riley says that he won't label himself as a particular type of fighter before his upcoming fight on the Khan Brook undercard. Riley wants to stage a major fight with Tommy Fury, the Gypsy King's half-brother, because of their massive followings on social media. But promoter Ben Shalom says Riley is not only focused on fights to enhance his social media profile. Riley rose to fame as the trainer for KSI in his fight with fellow YouTuber Logan Paul, and built his own significant online presence, which has fueled speculation that he could fight Tommy Fury, who rose to stardom on reality TV. Riley says he can't wait to get back into the ring as he talks about his return on the undercard to Amir Khan and Kell Brook's headlining fight. Shalom explained, "It would be a big fight because of the massive followings that these guys have. Vidal has a big fan base from YouTube, and Tommy comes from the Fury family and made his own name on Love Island. I don't know whether the Jake Paul versus Tommy fight will still happen. I hope it does for Tommy, but he wants to go the traditional way. He is looking at the British title, where Richard Riakporhe, Michael Awal, and Chris Billiam-Smith already are. Vidal wants to mix it up with them. He wants to be respected as a boxer, not an online personality." Up next, who is Johnny Fisher? You're about to find out. A recent bout between novice heavyweight boxer Johnny Fisher and journeyman Gabriel Nguema had fans in Alexandra Palace in London going wild. The venue was loud enough and the tension in the room was high enough that lead commentator Mike Costello was forced to raise his voice. Fisher won the fight and was clearly better in most of the rounds. Fisher's not your ordinary 5-0 prospect. Last year, Fisher said, "My limit might be British, English, or European title." Fisher reportedly had only 10 amateur fights, 9 of which ended by knockout, but actually spent most of his athletic years on a rugby field. He has natural strength and athletic ability, but with only 5 fights into his career, it's difficult to tell if a world title fight is in his future, but he's definitely someone to keep an eye on. Fisher and his father, John Sr., personally sold 2,000 tickets for Saturday's event and told reporters that they could have sold 4,000. For his last fight on October 31st, 2021, Fisher sold 1,400 tickets to fans who watched him knock out Alvaro Torrero in 2 rounds. Promoter Eddie Hearn said, "It's just the most incredible story. This doesn't exist in boxing. Prospects selling tickets is nothing new, and any promoter will tell you local favorites are vital to the success of almost every live event." Finally, what's a big fight you'll want to keep an eye out for? Let's take a look. Artur Beterbiev versus Joe Smith is set to take place in New York in late June of 2022, and this one's going to be a banger. It's a 3-belt light heavyweight unification match between Artur Beterbiev and Joe Smith Jr. Top-rank boss Bob Arum said that will take place in June primarily because of Ramadan. Beterbiev is a very, very religious man. He can't fight during Ramadan from April 2nd to May 2nd. After it's over, he has to start training, so that would be the beginning of May. We're making that fight for Madison Square Garden at the end of June. Arum co-promotes both Beterbiev, age 37, and Smith, age 32. The IBF and WBC champion Beterbiev has an impressive pro record with 17 wins, 0 losses, and 17 knockouts. The WBO crown holder Smith has 28 wins, 3 losses, and 22 knockouts, and both have expressed their intent to fight each other after each boxer was victorious in their most recent bouts. Beterbiev suffered a nasty gash across his forehead in his bout against Marcus Brown in December, but won nonetheless, and Smith scored a win against late replacement opponent Steve Gafford back in January. Both Beterbiev and Smith knocked out their opponents in the 9th round. This is going to be a big fight, so mark it on your calendar. You won't want to miss it. And that's a wrap for today's video, fight fans. Thank you for watching.